Hey, what's going on, everybody? Make sure that you like, comment, share, and follow and subscribe to this page. Uh, I'm going to be delivering more and more content on relationships and life, sometimes finances, but I want to mainly focus on relationships. But I know finances is a part of relationships. But at any rate, I want to go ahead and dive right in. And I want to talk about men and women in this aspect. I want to talk about men and women in regards to the lopsided expectations that we find in our relationships. Now, statistics show, as you probably already know if you've heard me talk before, that in the black community, and I hate to use that word, but I know y'all understand that, so that's why I'm going to use it. In the black community, 80% of the divorces that are filed by the women. So we can get in our feelings. I don't care about your feelings. I'm giving you the facts. And there is a clear narrative that's going on with what's happening in our relationships. Okay. The men aren't leaving the relationships. The feeling is that men are afraid of commitment and men don't want to be in committed relationships. But when men put themselves in relationships of the magnitude of marriage, men are not leaving those marriages. Men are trying to stick it out and stay in those relationships. Now, we hear a lot of things about, oh, well, men are abusive. Oh, men are liars. Men are cheaters. Men are this, men are that. But women have to take the accountability of whom they elect as their head of house, because that's what a husband essentially is. Head of house is not predicated on the income. Head of house is an ordination, and that is a man is the head, and and a woman is the backbone. They're both two different functions, but they're equally as important. And what we have a lot of today is we have a lot of women who are opting out of being the backbone and they're opting in to being heads. So we have too many heads and we have not enough backbone. And that's why, as a people, as a nation of people, we don't have a stance because we don't have any backbone, because the role of the backbone is being forsaken, because the glitz, the glamour, and the glory of the possibilities of what the head could get is more enticing. I had a woman one time I was training, and she said, when it comes to masculine energy, she craves it, she wants it, she needs it. And a lot of our women are obsessed with holding the posture of being kings. A lot of women today want to be kings. They want to be in charge. They want to be the head honcho. They want to be at the forefront of the decision making process. But what happens when decisions go left? They don't hold and keep that same energy in the stance of being king, in the stance of being the man, in the stance of being the head of household. She only wants the benefits and the fruits that come with being the head of household. See, everybody, when they go out for football, want to play quarterback, but everybody can't play quarterback. It's not about just having the ability to play quarterback. It's about having the mental fortitude to deal with the wins and the losses, because when a football team wins, the quarterback naturally gets the credit. When a football team loses, the quarterback naturally gets the blame. And women would love the credit a lot of times, but they don't want anything to do with the blame. There is a story in the Bible that talks about that, right? Whether you believe in it or not, it's a story. For illustration purposes, it makes a point. Okay? When Adam and Eve was in the garden, Eve, there was one rule: don't eat from the tree of life. Eve wandered off and she met the serpent. And the serpent convinced her to eat from the tree of life. And she partook in it. Now, did Adam make her eat from the tree? No. Did Adam stop her from eating from the tree? No. She had free will. And she chose with her free will to do something that disrupted the balance of everything to come. And so when God came down and he was looking for them, they hid, right? They hid. And when God spoke to Eve, Eve pointed a finger instead of taking accountability. So when you're deciding that you're going to be the quarterback, when you're deciding that you're going to be the head of household, you can't run when things go left. You have, and now shout out, kudos. There are women out there by choice, no, but by force, that are thrust into a position, voluntarily or involuntarily, they are thrust into the position of having to be the decision maker and the head of household. Okay. And maybe it's by choice, or maybe it's by process of elimination. When something goes wrong and things go left, and who's going to be responsible for this? Well, there's really no one around to blame, right? So if it's just her and her children, and here comes blame, guess who's got to take it? She's got to take it. There's no one else around to even conceivably take the blame for what has happened. And she is totally responsible for her household. So whether she's thrust into the position of head of household by choice or by force, and a lot of women that are out there in that position, they didn't ask to be in that position. They're just making the best of it. But you do have women out there that secretively has chosen to be in that situation. They had a child with a guy and they kicked him out. They had a child with a guy and they don't want to be in a relationship with him anymore. They agreed with him all the way until she had the baby, and now they can't see eye to eye on anything. So she's the judge, the juror, and the executioner. And she's like, I don't need him. I got a good job. I can raise the baby, this, that, and the other. And if he wants to see the child, he can go through child support. He can go through child enforcement. He can go through the courts. And then he jumps through all of these hoops for 18 plus years just to be able to have some type of relationship with his child. And it's already strained because that child is with that mother. And it's not all the mothers, but there are mothers out there that are doing this. And I don't even think this is motherly, but they speak badly about the father. They say bad and inhumane things about the father. They lie on the father. They make that father look like the bad guy in an attempt to make themselves look like a greater person. They want to be seen by their children as the greatest of great people. And they want the public to see them as great too. So they have a whole concoction of stories that adds up to them being the hero or the victim. So that's a problem in and of itself there. Now you step forward and you start saying to yourself, okay, if I am going to be in a position of leadership, if things go completely wrong, will I stand or will I cower? And this goes for men and women. If you cannot stand when things don't go your way, you have no right to be standing at all. If you cannot accept the bad that comes with decisions, you don't deserve the glory when decisions lead to things that are good for you and your family. You can't be running around and diminish the bad, but uphold the good. You want everybody to see the good. Your child is exceptional in class, makes honor roll. You don't want to give that father no credit. You want to say she gets her intelligence from me. But everybody in your family is stupid. So how can we say that this literally comes from you? And meanwhile, everybody in his family is intelligent. I'm not saying that's the situation for everybody, but I think sometimes when our children do well, we want to take the credit for them doing well. Even if we're in healthy relationships. If the child is beautiful, yeah, she kind of look like me. And the whole time she looking like daddy. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like we're not being real. We're trying to step in the way and catch some glory rays, but we're not interested in the bullets that come in the line of fire. And you got to be shielded up to deal with the good and the bad. Nobody told you to go out into the middle of the war and not have your armor of protection. Men put on armor every day and don't get appreciated for it. We go out there in the world and every day it's a fight just to survive for us. And we do it with so much grace. We only know what we know. So because we only know what we know, y'all think their job is easy. It's easy to be a man. I want to be a man too. I want the responsibilities of a man too. Because I can be a man better than a man can be a man. Not understanding that men were built for what they were built for, just like women were built for what they were built for. And when you're built for something in particular, listen, I'm not built to stay home with my children, feed them, do their hair, raise them, keep the house clean, train them, teach them. I'm not built for that. Can I do those things? I can. But will it be done with as much fluidity and grace as a woman? No. And that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It just means that that's not what I was designed to do by nature. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you're supposed to be doing something. And on the flip side, same thing. Just because you can go out there and you can go out there and you're a strong woman, you can go out there and you can do this, you can go out here and you can do that, whatever the case may be. You may be able to go out there and do it, but if you're not designed to do it, you may be able to do it, but your life's going to get cut short. Because whatever you're not built to do will break you down faster. Will break you down faster. I like to use go look up this NBA player named Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is a freak athlete, okay? Zion Williamson is about 280, 290 pounds. But the guy can jump out of the gym. He has raw power, raw speed, raw change of direction. Once in an NCAA basketball game, he tried to change directions in his shoe and it blew out like a tire. That shoe ripped to shreds from the sheer force and power, because a man that big and that strong isn't typically supposed to move like that. So nothing is built for that type of G-force and G-shock that he gives to any kind of apparel that helps him perform on the basketball court. So blew his shoes completely out. Then he got to the NBA and then he had a health issue. He had a problem staying healthy. Tremendous talent. And I'm praying that the recovery is going to be great. He's lost a lot of weight and he knows that he needs to do that because he was just too darn big to be moving the way that he was moving. It was astonishing. But it wasn't long-term healthy for him. His knees cannot take that kind of pounding. His ankles cannot take that kind of pounding. And there was science done by the team physicians and the study crew, or whatever you want to call them. They were doing all of these types of researches on him, trying to teach him how to run and jump and land because they wanted to preserve his career. So Zion Williamson is an outlier, and he has amazing abilities to do the job. But the way he was constructed, he was not designed to do what it is that he was so good at doing, which would have just only meant that he could have done what he was doing if nothing changed. But his shelf life for doing it would have been shorter than normal. So some of you, men and women, are out there doing something that you're not designed to do, and it's breaking you down. Life is about finding what you're designed for and doing that. Anything else, you're going to cut your time short. Go to a funeral of somebody who dies young, and it's a whole bunch of resentment in terms of this person didn't get an opportunity to live their life. But on the flip side, go to a funeral where somebody died in the 90s or the hundreds, and it's not a moment of sadness. It's a moment of celebration because somebody got an opportunity to live a full life. Try it. There's not a lot of tears at a funeral for somebody who is 100 years old, made it to be 100 years old. But it's a lot of tears when somebody dies at 20 years old. Do you understand why? Because you feel like they didn't get an opportunity. So, isn't that how we feel about Jim Brown? Okay. Jim Brown played about 9 seasons in the NFL, if not mistaken, and he retired. We feel like we could have gotten more of Jim Brown. Oh, Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson was so ridiculously athletic, but he had a short career because that man was too big, that man was too strong, that man was too fast for the way that his body was designed and built. So I'm not saying that he wasn't supposed to play football, but what I am saying is he couldn't play it like everybody else. He had to learn how to play it another way. And unfortunately, he didn't learn how to play it another way because I remember Bo Jackson, he going all out every time he ran the ball or played football or baseball. And guess what? Sometimes when the lights are the brightest, they burn out the quickest. And life is about finding out how much you need to shine. But at any rate, back to what I was saying in regards to marriages. And I want to get right into it. Let's talk about the expectations of a husband. In modern day society, a man is held accountable for his job that he's supposed to do in marriage. And he's held to a standard that there's no let up. He must do it every single day. And there are men out here that accept that challenge and they go into it. And I'm talking about there are men out here who've been married for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, has never once been with another woman, has always did what he was supposed to do, has always provided, has always protected, has always been held to the standard that's unrealistic that he's done by the grace of the Most High. And I salute you. But what is the mental health of them? Knowing they can't make any mistakes. You got women, and I know them. You got women out here that will be in a relationship with a man. He is endearing. He is revered. He is respected. He is loved. He's cared for. He comes through with everything that he's supposed to come through with. And he goes by 10 years, 15 years, or however many years, and he has one indiscretion. He goes out there and he sleeps with another woman. And you know what'll happen to him? He won't be forgiven. No. She's going to take him to court, file for divorce, and take half of everything he has for one mistake. Now, I know a lot of you ladies are saying, well, he shouldn't have been out there cheating. Okay. But if he said when he got married to you that he would be faithful all the days of his life, and he slipped up and he wasn't faithful, right? And you came to the conclusion, well, you broke the marriage, so I'm divorcing you. One, did you want to divorce him in the first place? Did you want him to divorce him in the first place? Because if a man can make one mistake, because a sin is a sin, right? If a man can make one mistake and you can just take his kids away from him and take his life with you away, and you could just, he is the dog of dogs for the rest of his life. My question is, that's fine if you want to play that way. But why can't the coin be the same when it's flipped on your side? Because there's some things that you vowed to do when you got married. You vowed to love, honor, and cherish me as a man. You vowed to do this in sickness and in health, rich or poor till death do us part, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. So I want you to think about that. Love, honor, and cherish. Okay? See, a lot of you think love is a feeling, but love isn't a feeling. Love is a command. Like, even if you go to the scriptures and it says, of all of the commands, what is the greatest command? And it says the greatest command is to love the Most High with all your heart, might, and soul. And the second command is love your neighbor. And this is where all of the commands hang upon. So a command isn't about your feeling. A command is about actuaries. No matter how you feel, you are to love your spouse. That goes both ways. But we know that if a woman don't feel like loving you, she ain't much lovely. She's been dealing with the kids all day and they got on her nerves. She don't feel like being loving towards you. If she's upset with you or whatever the case may be, she ain't much for honoring you. She darn sure don't cherish you when she's not feeling like being in a cherishable mode. See, our women have been taught, or our women in this society feel comfortable about them leading with their feelings and leaving them unchecked. But a man can't have feelings about anything. He's supposed to do everything he's supposed to do, whether it's sun, shine, rain, sleet, or snow. That's what he's supposed to do. There's no let up. Oh, so and so died. Go out there and make that money. Oh, you're in your feelings because we had an argument last night. I don't care. Go out there, go to work and make that money. Whatever it is that you got to do, man, go out there and do it, because I don't want to hear any excuse. Stop being a little sissy. I heard one girl in a conversation say, I asked her, I said, if you were married to a man and he did everything you asked of him without fail, he came when you said come, he went when you said go, he consistently brought money to a satisfactory standard. I'm not saying that he came in with millions of dollars every day, but I'm talking about there was nothing that you needed for, because he made sure he provided for you. There was never any time that you didn't feel safe, because you felt his presence when he was even near you. And he did everything that he was supposed to do consistently 100%. I said, what would that be for you? And this lady sat there and she thought about it. And she said, I don't want to say the words that she said, but I'm going to paraphrase. She would get bored with him. She would become disinterested in him, and she wouldn't want to be with him. And I said, so wait a minute. So this is a good looking man. This man, he lays it down in the bedroom. This man, he is spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. He checks all of the boxes for you. And you would find yourself disinterested and not wanting to be with that man? But then I started thinking about, why would she say something like that? And then I remember, and a lot of men and a lot of men know this. Women can be hungry and don't know what the hell they want to eat. I'm so hungry. Well, what you in the mood to eat? I don't know. I mean, what do you got a taste for? Pasta? What do you got a taste for? You got chicken? Steak? Pork chops? Whatever it is that she likes to eat or you've experienced her eating. Now you start running it down. And she goes, I don't know. And then you say, all right, fine, I'll make a decision. I'm gonna go and get blankety blank. No, I don't want that. Well, what do you want? I don't know what I want. Do you think this is an anomaly, or is this the experience that many men have with women? Their indecisiveness. They don't know what they want half of the time. And then when they do know what they want, they say what they want, and then they get what they want, and then they don't want that either. Do you know how frustrating that is for a man? When a woman, she doesn't know what she wants, but she knows what she wants. But when she gets what she wants, she doesn't want that anymore. And then she gets upset when you try to say, okay, I'm not going to give you the responsibility of trying to figure out what you want. Let me handle that. Why can you take my power? I know what I want. I know what I need. Well, every time you get the opportunity, what do? You are indecisive. It's very rare. And then you want to put somebody like that in a position, and even in a family setting, you want to give that person the position of being head. When one of the characteristics about being head is to be certain about what you want to do and where you want to go. They don't like it when you are in a position of being head and you change your mind about what you guys are going to do. They think that's a sign of weakness. When in fact, it might be treacherous to do and continue to do what it is that you're doing. And you got to make an executive decision and say, hey, look, we got to change courses. Change courses? Well, I thought you was the man. I am the man. That's why I'm telling you we need to change courses. A real man will stick it out. And then you let a woman get in your head like that. And then all of a sudden you start doing and operating and functioning the way she asked you to function. You then totally forsake your vision, which you should never put anybody ahead of your vision, especially a woman. No woman should ever be ahead of your vision. And a man that has a vision, ladies, you could never be number one in a man's life. I love my wife dearly, but she could never be number one. My vision is the most important thing. My vision is actually going to get her what she needs and what she wants. So by me neglecting my vision is me directly neglecting my wife. So yeah, fellas, you're going to have to be able to say no sometimes. Or you're going to have to be able to look at her sometimes and let her just talk and just go, okay. And it's good to listen to your wife. That is good. She's your helpmate. But listening to her as long as it's within the confines of the vision. And if fellas, if you don't have a vision, you don't need to be in a relationship. And let me tell you something about being a man. When does a man become a man? It's not when he's 18. It's not when he's finished college. It's not when it's not when he gets married. You're not a man until you accept responsibility. That is one of the main keys to being a man, where you accept responsibilities and or run to responsibilities. A man that doesn't want to have children and find out that he's having a child and runs away is not a man. Nobody's saying that, oh, what? I don't know. I can't take care of a child right now. Yeah, well, if you're a man, you better start. Nobody said you had to take care of them on $1 million level. It's not about how much you have, it's about what you do with what you have. But if you're so selfish you can't break bread with your responsibilities, you can't call yourself a man. You can't call yourself a woman if when you have access to anything that you are trying to indulge or treat yourself and you ain't thinking about nobody else. You ain't a woman and you ain't a man, respectively, in those categories. So men have these wives place these, society place these unhealthy, unrealistic, and some of any other unprefixed word that you can think of to men. This unrealistic expectation of a man moving in perfection. And that would be cool if, as a wife, you kept the house clean all the time without fail. I don't care how many kids we got. Can you keep the house clean all the time without fail? Can you cook all the time without fail? That means every meal you prepare. Can you do that? Without fail? What about when it's time to give up them draws? Okay? Are you giving up them? Are you not only are you giving up the draws without fail? Are you proactively offering them draws without fail? I'm talking about soon as he wakes up in the morning, you take care of that. You take care of him. That's the head of your household. Are you going to 100% of the time take care of him when he wakes up in the morning? Is that what we're really? Is that what you're really doing or not? So you can't. So can you wake up in the morning? Wake him up in the morning with a morning delight, whatever it is, however you gotta give it to him, however you can help him. Let him be the one to say, no, that's okay, baby, not this morning. Let him say no instead of you. Okay? If he has to go to work or whatever the case may be, are you helping him? Are you helping him get to work? Are you helping him get the things that he need to get to go to work? Okay? When he comes home from work, are you there for him, to listen to him, to comfort him, to be a rock for him, to be his backbone? Are you there for him to make sure that he's got something to eat when he comes home? Are you there for him, creating an environment of peace for him when he comes home? 100% of the time. When he needs some assistance or he needs some help with something, are you jumping at it and doing it? Or are you laboring to do it or make excuses to not do it? Now, those are your vows too. Those are your vows too. And I don't care if that means you're working or not working. I don't care if you're a stay-at-home wife or if you are a working wife. Your working does not give you a built-in excuse for not doing the things that your husband needs of you. You work for the boss. You give your boss so much respect, and you come home and you give your husband so much disrespect. Your boss don't even like you, but you, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Right away, sir. And then you come home and you have zero tolerance for your husband. You're a tyrant. You're screaming, hollering, nagging, and yelling at him. And this is the one that took a covenant vow with you, and you, before the Most High, saying you would do these things. You would be there. You would be there for richer or for poor, for sickness and health, for better or for worse. To death do you part. Love, honor, and cherish. However the order is that I know the order is not right, but all of those things are true in that. And you took those covenant vows 9 times out of 10. And when you took those covenant vows, because they'll even tell you to say that at the courthouse if you go to the courthouse. It ain't got to be a church setting. They'll tell you at the courthouse to say those words each. And so he's dishonoring you because he has one indiscretion. Come on now, either one or two things need to happen. If you expect to hold a man to this high standard, okay, you should be held to the same darn standard and not an inch lower. But some of y'all want to have y'all standard down here. Y'all want to be forgiven. Yeah, can't, I need understanding. Why don't you understand what a woman goes through? It's so taboo for a man to say, why can't you understand what a man goes through? You ain't gave him no draws. You ain't gave him no draws in 2 weeks. But you checking in his phone to see if he's got anything going with another woman. Yeah, that's what I mean by being not accountable. Like, you gotta check in his phone to see if he's doing anything because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. But if you were, I would give you credit if you were doing what you were supposed to do and you was looking through his phone. But I can tell you this right now. Most men, if they get what they need, they straight. That's the illusion that's telling you that if a man doesn't get, if a man, doesn't matter what you do for a man, he's going to do what he's going to do. Because men are dogs. Yeah, all men are dogs. But wait a minute. Here's the other caveat to all men being dogs. All men don't hunt for sport. Some men hunt to eat. And so he got you. So he just like, I don't need to go out there and hunt for sport. It's the man that's hunting for sport. You're trying to treat all men like all men hunt for sport, but all men don't hunt for sport. All men don't have time for that. Even just from a standpoint, if a man is really focused on trying to build something, he really don't have time for sport. I love playing basketball. I really love playing basketball, but I haven't played basketball in years. Do you know why I haven't played basketball in years? It's not because my love affair for basketball has ended. I just don't have time playing basketball because I'm too busy trying to do something and build something for my wife and children. Like, I don't have time to do that. And I want to, because I'm the type of person that I play ball every single day. There's not a day that I don't want to play ball. But I mean, I have things that I'm trying to do. And time is of the essence. Do you see how many people are just dropping like flies every day? It's like you wonder if you wake up in the morning, who's died today? So what are we going to do, ladies? Are we going to bring your standard level and expectation up here with ours? Or are you going to cut us some slack? Because you want slack cut for you. Take your pick. But what you're not going to do is when it's convenient for you, holler about how it's not fair. But when it is convenient for you, wait a minute. When it's convenient for you, you hollering about it, everything should be fair and we are even. But on the flip side, when it's inconvenient for you, you holler about, or you say, you're supposed to be the man, or you're stronger than me. You're supposed to be able to deal with this more than me. Like, what are we doing here? If you want to play the game of everything is equal and everything is fair, then we could play that game. Even though it's not, men and women aren't equal. We're not designed to be equal in every department. Now, it all balances out when you include the spirit realm. There are things from a spiritual level, emotional level, that you guys run circles around us about. Really, one of the only advantages that men have is the physical side of things. But if you really want to be honest, a lot of y'all are negating your post, and women are more powerful than the men are if they just operate and rock in their purpose. But the trick's on you. The enemy has gotten you to think that being a woman is futile. Being a woman and operating in your femininity is weakness. Whole time in the kingdom, You, you're the most powerful piece on the board. You are the most powerful piece on the board. And some of you will trade in your crown to be a pawn. Shout out to the pawns. The pawns are the front line. Get slaughtered. But also have the choice to become anything they want to be in the kingdom except the king. But the reality of the situation is, why downsize who you are to become who you already were? So what? You're going to downsize to being a pawn. You're going to make it through the line of fire. You're going to get to the other side of the board. And then you're going to ask to be the queen. And guess what? Even at best, you're not queen number one. You're queen number whatever. And I'm not saying that each queen is diminished, but the second queen on, they're there in a supportive role. And it's something about being one. I'm going to just be honest. And yeah, the king should treat them all fairly, right? But the reality is they don't have the same roles. This queen does this and this queen does that. Some of you will walk away from the number one position to fight hard to take a number two position. Some of you are set to be queens of it all. And yet and still, because you are operating in misplaced masculinity, you go out the front door of your palace only to come into the back door and become a secondary queen. That's going to go over y'all heads if y'all don't understand what I'm trying to say to you. The rules of the game was already written out, and it wasn't written out for society to take a liking to it. But somebody grew up butthurt, got in a position of power, and changed the rules. Heck yeah, I know what I'm asking, ladies, is a very difficult ask. Asking you to give them draws up at a moment's notice for your man. Asking you to cook every time. Asking you to clean. Asking you to keep peace. Asking you to take care of the children. Rear them up to be outstanding citizens and make your husband proud. That is a very difficult job. And the reality is, and you don't want to hear this, but you need help doing it. See, women of old knew they needed help. That's why women, especially if you can get past the last 400, 500 years of enslavement, you will go back and you will see in the history that it wasn't the men that were looking for additional wives. It was the women that were looking for additional wives. Why? Because they know that things needed to get done and they wanted help. They put aside their feelings and they said, we're trying to build. We're trying to build something for us. We're trying to build something for our children. And we're trying to build something for our children's children. And if it's just me and him, we may not be able to do it because I got to be on my P's and my Q's 100% of the time. And you look at the modern woman today, she's not on her P's and Q's 100% of the time. You ask her for sex 5 times, and she gives it to you once or twice. And she says you should be satisfied with that. But on the flip side, you go out there in an attempt to get 5 checks, and you bring home 1 or 2, and your every name called in the book, and you will be served your divorce papers rather sooner than later. So what are we going to do, ladies and gentlemen? Are we going to say that men and women that it needs to be fair? If we're going to say fair, then it needs to be here, congruently. Not here, not here. It needs to be adjoining. That's the word. It needs to be adjoining. It needs to be same page, same level. The same heights of expectations you have for your husband is the same heights of expectations he has for you as a wife. If you expect him to provide and to protect 100% of the time. I heard this guy, he was on the Wendy Williams show, guy that played in that Marvel movie, right? Can't think of his name off the top. But he said, make me a sandwich. And the crowd sounded like they were offended. He said, okay, well, hold on now. Hold on. He was just like, if somebody disrespecting you in public, we had dinner, somebody disrespecting me, you in public, what do you want me to do? She said, smack him in the face. Okay. If somebody, and I'm elaborating here, he didn't say this, but if somebody disrespected you, slapped you, hit you, or whatever the case may be, what would you want me to do? But what if I told you, I don't feel like it today? I'm just not in the mood to defend today. I'm not in the mood to protect for you today. You know what? I'm not in the mood to pay the bills. I'm so sick and tired of paying the bills. Cut me some slack. Why can't you be more understanding? I pay the bills every month. Can I just have a break? I'm just going to take my money I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go and blow it on I'm gonna go blow it on Amazon. I'm gonna go blow it at the mall or whatever. I'm gonna go and do something for myself and forget these bills. Are we gonna have mercy and understanding for you and assured that you're gonna stay with us under those circumstances? If not, cut us some slack. See, your mama, your daddy, your grandma, your grandparents, the ones that stayed together, right? They didn't stay together because they had these outlandish expectations of each other. They stayed together because they made a covenant vow that they would stay together. And things got rocky sometimes and worse. And they still stayed and duked it out. They stayed. Y'all will throw away a 15-year marriage because he had one indiscretion. Y'all will throw away a 15-year marriage because he worked for 14 years, got fired, and now he's having a hard time finding a job in his particular field when that's all he's gotten to know and be and do. You don't give him any time. You got women out here that say, if he ain't bringing nothing to the table, then why would I be with him? Maybe he was bringing something to the table and he's falling on hard times. And kudos to the women that's sticking there with him, not giving him a hard time. I'm not saying you're not getting credit just for sticking in there with him. I'm saying you're sticking there with him and you still treating him at a high level, even in his lowest point. Kudos to you, because that's what marriage is supposed to be about. But some of you don't think about your vows no further than your fingernail is growing. You thinking about, oh, this is my wedding day. And you ain't even thinking so as close as what's going to happen the day y'all come back from y'all honeymoon. Like this marriage is just this one big week or 2 weeks, however long your honeymoon is. So, what are we going to do here? Raise the bar for women, which I'm for, because men have been living under these gaudy standards for a long time. And even when he does live to those gaudy standards, doesn't matter. He served divorce papers because she's bored. Do y'all remember that movie with Tyler Perry? And I think he was dating Dwayne Wade's wife, with Gabrielle Union, right? And he was so predictable with what he did. He was very successful, but very predictable. And see, some of y'all don't know that's what a healthy marriage is. It's predictability. It's the same thing over and over and over again every day. But see, y'all want to have drama and y'all want to have suspense in your marriage. And marriage is not a place for suspense. Marriage is a place for consistency. That doesn't mean consistency and doing the same things every day in your marriage or whatever the case may be is boring. Because if you both like doing those things, it's gonna be likable. But this is why everybody's not built for marriage. If you're into the suspense, if you're into the thrill, if you're into spontaneity or whatever the case may be, I'm not saying that you can't spice up your relationship or whatever the case may be, but generally speaking, a stable, healthy marriage is stable because the foundations don't move. You have a moving foundation, you don't have any stability. If I put my trailer on cinder block and the cinder block is not stabilized, then I'm going to not be in a stable living condition in my trailer. I'm going to fall, we're going to rock, we're going to slide. It's not what you want to do. And when you get married, you do not want to be in anything that doesn't resemble stability. So what are you going to do? Are you going to bring this level up on your to the man's level of expectations? And it's like you got to be able to dish out what you can take. If you can't take having these unrealistic perfection expectations, stop giving them to your husband. So what you trying to say? If he has an indiscretion, if he cheats, I'm supposed to accept him or whatever the case may be. I'm not telling you what to do. What I am telling you is a sin is a sin, a mistake is a mistake, right? So if your husband goes out there and he has a discretion, I do think that you guys should sit down and evaluate what you're gonna do. But if you've had a husband who, now I'm not talking about the guy who said he was gonna do one thing and he's doing something else over and over and over again. I'm not talking about the guy that's sitting there and cheating on you every chance he can get, going to the strip clubs every chance he can get, dishonoring you in the streets and defaming you and all kinds of things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a man who's been strong and he comes up weak, have a moment of weakness. And it ain't even got to be infidelity. It ain't even got to be indiscretion. I'm talking about he has a moment of weakness where he didn't pay that bill and he went and bought that video game. Or he told you he was going to the store, but he went to the shooting range and forgot to call you. Like, I'm talking about anything that's not perfect. Yeah, I know I told you I was going to go here and I went there. Well, why didn't you tell me? Babe, I just didn't think about it. I'm sorry. No, you're not sorry. You're sorry I caught you. Now you're going to question his love. Now you're going to question his commitment. Listen, let me tell you something, ladies. A man's measure of loyalty is not like the loyalty of a woman. A woman's loyalty measure to a man is how faithful and loyal she is to him. That's not the same thing. You ladies, you not you ladies, but you women, you females out here, you will have a guy who will go out there and what he committed to doing, providing and protecting for you, he will bring it all home to you half the time. He will give you everything. And then he slips up and he wants to do something for himself and y'all blow it up to be something that is really, really not. You're so selfish. You don't care about us. Yeah, what about the last 13 years we were together? Can you think of anything that I've ever done? You probably did it. You see my checks when it comes in. You have the same, look, a lot of times you have the same access to the same bank accounts that I have. You have access to my emails. You have access to my social media accounts. You have access to everything. You have my password to my phone. Some men will lay it out there like that for you, and you still will have trust issues. Like, why are you having trust issues when he lays it all out there so plain Jane for you? It's because probably sometimes you have a guilty conscience about something that you're doing. Let's keep it a buck. Come on, ladies. I don't think that most of the time, women don't do well with accountability. So I'm already telling you that if we brought the expectation level of a woman to where a man's expectation level is, what that she had, the same expectation she has for him is the same expectation she could be expected to have for herself, it would drive women bananas. Because I'm telling you, just like men got weaknesses, like we emotionally develop later, right? And it's just like women, it's like they just from an accountability standpoint, most women are not accountable. They will pass the buck just as sure as they can. And I love you all. I love you all, ladies and gentlemen. I do. But what I'm saying to you is we're going to have to lower these expectations just a little bit to a reasonable place. Now, how do we determine if that's going to be reasonable? We determine if that's going to be reasonable if the man said, cool, I can do that. But if he's saying, I can't do that, are you serious? Then we got to reevaluate. Listen, ladies, if it's something that you signed up to give to your husband and you're not giving it to your husband, how selfish are you if you're just going to say, I'm not going to give it to you for whatever reason, and you're not going to get it? If it's something that you can't do, let somebody else do it. Or make another way for it to be done. He has a business and he's asking you to help him in his business. Don't get upset because you don't want to help him in his business and he hires a girl to come in and be his assistant. And you're upset that he's spending a lot of time around this girl. You could have been the girl that did that. But for whatever reason, excusable or inexcusable, you decided that you weren't going to do that. So if you decide you're not going to do that, the understanding needs to be that he needs to get it done. He's asking something that he needs for his vision. You signed up to be the one and only helpmate. And it is not about your feelings. It is a command. Do what needs to be done because it needs to be done. When you don't do what needs to be done, that you signed up to say you were going to do, guess what? If it don't get done, it affects not only your husband, it affects you, and it affects your children. So you are selfish because you're putting your feelings above the team. When you get married, especially when it's a monogamous marriage, oh, that is the most unselfish type of relationship. And you wonder why our women were advocating for polygyny? Because the reality, it wasn't about the man. It was about them not losing who they are. Some of you, if you were asked to uphold the ridiculous standard consistently, we ain't talking about, I do it most of the time. No, we're talking about the consistency, 100%, without fail, without flee. If we held that expectation over you and said the only way you're going to stay married to us is if you do what you say you're going to do when we're at the altar, it wouldn't be 80-20. It'd be like 90-10 in terms of divorce. Advantage man. Why are you giving me a divorce? You're not doing what I asked you to do. But I thought you were supposed to love me unconditionally. Well, when you make a lot of excuses about the vows that you made, that you said you were going to do, that seems really conditional. It seems very conditional under the conditions that you feel like doing it. You have to have a great day. You have to sleep on the right side of the pillow. And everything has to flow in your life so perfectly. Oh, and you have to have a dose of energy for me to get everything that I need from you today. How many days do you feel 100%? I know I don't feel 100%. Final thoughts. I know I don't feel 100% every day. But I go hard every day because my wife and children need me. And I don't know when the rain is going to come. But when that sun rises and I have the opportunity, I might not hop out of bed, but I make my feet touch the ground and I put one step in front of the other. And I do what I can. And some days it's 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. It's not 100% all the time. 100%? That means no breaks, total focus, no let ups. I don't even do that. So why would I expect my wife to do that? I cut her some slack. My wife doesn't cook. Listen, my wife doesn't cook every day. We talked about that. My wife doesn't cook every day. My wife doesn't keep the house clean 100% of the time when we got little children running around here. I mean, my wife can go through the house and clean it top to bottom. And my children can mess it up in 20 minutes. Why would I expect my wife to go and chase after them 100% of the time? Listen, I don't have boys, I have girls. It ain't go in the bathroom, take 15, 20 minutes, cut his hair, and he good for 2, 3 weeks. I have children, and I have children with curly hair. Y'all know what that's like. They have to do hair. What do you think? I'm supposed to have my wife keep their hair done 100% of the time? No, sometimes if she don't get it done or somebody doesn't do it, man, sometimes we just have to brush it up, put it in a nice ponytail, and we're gonna go. How dare me expect her to keep their hair done 100% of the time? But in those polygynous types of relationships, those things consistently are closer to the 100% mark every day because the responsibilities are shared. This is what our ancestors knew. This is what our women lobbied for. Our women lobbied for help. And if it wasn't a second wife or third wife or fourth wife, guess what it was? It was a maid servant. Even biblical times, Sarah had a maid servant. Sarah did everything that she could, according to the scriptures. Sarah did everything she could for as long as she could. But when she couldn't do it anymore, she wasn't selfish. She didn't stand in the way. When it was a task that needed to be done that she didn't think she could do, she looked at her husband and said, I don't know how we're going to get this done. Have you considered my maidservant? I ain't considering nobody's telling you to do that. We're saying do what you're supposed to do, no problems. Listen, the problem is, why do women want access? Let's see, men want access to sex. Women want access to marriage, relationships. So how does a woman get access to relationship? She's typically on her best behavior so she can increase the odds of her getting access to what she ultimately wants. Problem is, when she gets access to what she ultimately wants, the hunt is over for her. So the things she was doing to get in a relationship, she no longer does those things because she's got one now and she doesn't have to, in her mind, work for it. But the same work you did to get that man is the same work you have to do to keep that man. But now society says it's unrealistic for a man to expect her to upkeep those things that she did to get you. Cut her some slack. I'm tired. Oh, I understand, honey. I'll just go to bed and I'll clutch myself. Try not to think about it. what I need. What? Now, if we flip that role, you'd see how ridiculous that sounds. See, because it don't hit you until the chickens come home to roost, until your problems hit the front door. And all we're saying is, you're going to, listen, factually speaking, from a physical standpoint, men have the advantage over women. That's not debatable. It's not debatable. If a man and a woman got in a fight and a crowd saw that a man and a woman was getting into a fight and people jumped in, people would not jump in to help the man. They would jump in and help the woman because they feel like it's an unfair advantage, because physically it is. If I got into a fight with Serena Williams, and Serena Williams is a well-built woman, very physical, very strong. But if I got into a fight with Serena Williams, if I got into a fight with Layla Ali, how about that? If I got into a fight with Layla Ali, maybe at best initially you'll say, well, she's a professional boxer and he is not. Let's see what happens. But that's not likely. Probably before the fight even get going, there's going to be people that jump in, and they're not going to hold her back. They're going to hold me back, because all of the training that she did, you think about this, the world record for a man and a world record for a woman in the bench press, where they're both individually working as hard as they can to achieve as much as they can. And it's over 200-pound advantage in terms of what can be lifted by the world's strongest woman, by the world's strongest man versus the world's strongest woman. Now, with that world's strongest woman having advantage over a man that never lifted any weights, yes. But if a man and a woman, given the same opportunity, worked as hard as they could to grow and develop from a physical standpoint, the woman couldn't catch that man. It's just not scientifically possible. And I don't care if you're in your feelings about that. Oh, man, women are strong. Listen, dummy, I know women are strong. I know women can do amazing things. I know women can run companies and women can be CEOs. But at the price of us becoming an extinct people, because we don't even have any kind of duality between us and functioning in terms of a body, where somebody can be the head and somebody can be the backbone. Short-sighted, success. Long-sighted, destruction. Family is the backbone of the continuum of a people. And it takes somebody being the head, and it takes somebody being the backbone. And some of you out there will gladly exchange where the woman is the head and the man is a backbone. But I challenge you from a natural standpoint that that's not the design nature has for you. So what are you saying? All women should come home? All women should not work? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, queens, you can get it in more creative ways. Go and look, whether you're a Bible reader or not, go and look at Proverbs 31, chapter 10, and start reading from there. And it's going to tell you all of the things and all of the operations, not all of them, but it gives you a great outlook on all of the on the operations of a woman within the confines of her role, and how powerful, how much of an asset to herself and her family she can become if she opened her mind and utilize. Some of you ladies out there would rather go out there and get a job, not understanding that's breaking you down, versus staying at home and using your creativity and starting a business that you can dictate hours. See, the job, you have to schedule your family time around that job. But when you have a business, you can schedule the business time around your family. You don't have to ask anybody for time off. You don't have to do any of that stuff. And you ladies are so detail oriented, creative, but you're so scared to operate and function like this. Because you got this so much masculine energy, you're looking at that man that you're supposed to be I dude to as your competition. And y'all on the same team. Y'all arguing about 50-50. I ain't paying none of the bills. Like, what are you doing? What it really should be about is 100-100. He brings everything home and lay it on the table. You bring everything home and lay it on the table. Who's trying to keep count? It's y'all's money. Why are y'all in a partnership running individual enterprises? Y'all should be, it's one enterprise. Your marriage is the parent company, and all of the things that you do under the parent company are subsidiaries of the parent company. Everything, listen, did you know? I'm going to give you a little tax game. You're an independent contractor. You're running around and you're saying everything's all good. You really think it's all good? Man, you're fooling yourself. Because you could set up an LLC, right? Get all of the tax breaks to keep money in your pocket. Funnel everything to the parent company and file taxes for the parent company and everything all in the one hub. Plus, you can get business credit through your parent company and get loans and credit cards and credit limits that are large to go and grow your business at an exponential level, because wealthy people don't use their own money. But you're so selfish. You would rather have your own thing and have a little bit of what you could have, the grand scheme of things as a team, everything. I listened to the players from the Portland Trail Blazers, that great team that almost came back and beat the Lakers. And they talked about how their lives would have been different if they would have won championships. You going after individual things when you got a team that you can win championships with. And everybody wants to be with the champion, because it ain't a lot of champions. Listen, when I played for the 2002 Ohio State National Championship, shout out to my Buckeyes. We just had a reunion. And I played on that team. Just everybody on that team who were champions will forever be champions. And it was less than 150 of us on the team. So you think about 100, listen, at the time, 117 Division 1A schools, right? And only one team, crown champion. No one can take away what you've accomplished. They can take your rings, they can take your trophies, they can take your jerseys, they can take your titles, but they can't take away the fact that you were a national champion. Even in situations like USC, when they tried to take away their championship and Reggie Bush's Heisman, nobody's going to say Reggie Bush didn't win a Heisman. No, we all know and witness Reggie Bush kick hindpots all year, making people look stupid. And he was unquestionably the Heisman Trophy winner. And he will always be a champion. You don't have to like him. You don't have to love him. But you will respect the fact that he's a champion. And if you can't respect the fact, there's too many people that will respect him for being a champion. Everywhere he goes, he might even get this experience. Hey, champ. What's going on, champ? That feels good. That validates you. And then everybody wants to be rubbing elbows with the champion. I tell people I was on the team. It's a 45-minute conversation. Oh, let me go out and wear my ring. Everybody wants to talk. What is that? Who'd you play for? Oh boy. Nobody. Come on, man. Can I see the ring? There you go. You played for Ohio State? 45-minute conversation without me even participating. Especially if it's a diehard Ohio State fan. And that alumni network is strong. There, and listen, I didn't even play hardly at Ohio State. There are players at Ohio State that played and were legends at Ohio State, but didn't win a national championship. And they played way more than I did. I got out there in mop up duty, scrub time, this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. I even redshirted. But guess what? I was on that championship team. And they sitting over there rushing records, receiving records, whatever it is position they have, and the things that the mile markers they hit, and they're sitting there saying, boy, I give it all away to be a champion. I will give it all away to be a champion. And you got a whole partner, and you guys are arguing about how much he or she is going to contribute, when whole time, all you should be doing is taking the money, putting it in the middle of the table, making a determination what needs to be taken care of from the money, investing a portion of the money. Then after you do that, even in a simplistic format, the remainder of the money, you could divvy it up 50-50. Hell, if you married to somebody like me, I don't care about 50-50 when I know the responsibilities are taken care of and investments have been invested in. I don't need here. You know what? I'll just take a little bit. You take the rest. Man, I'll take 25% of the rest. You take 75%. Like, because men, real men don't sit around and say, well, I need to do this and I need to do that. I need to get my fingernails done. I need to get my toes done. I need to do this. We don't do that. Even if we're crazy about things like shoes or cars or whatever the case may be, like, it's usually something that we hold to us that we say we want to cut out for ourselves. But when it comes to our wives, the whole time we thinking about making sure she gets everything that she wants. I know if me and my wife divvy up something, right? And we go out, I'm not looking at her and saying, all right, you know, you're going half on it with me. I'm not even concerned about that. Because really and truthfully, my money's her money's my money. There have been times where I haven't had and she's had. So you got to make sure that you treat people when you're on the good side of the fence. You got to treat them just like if you're on the bad side of the fence, because tables can turn. You sitting there, you occupying everything that comes out of his pocket, but you want to keep what comes into your pocket. And then you want to say, but this is the way it's supposed to be. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. So you saying that what I go out there and do, I don't deserve to go out there and do what I want to do? For this season right now, when in our building season, no. Neither one of us need to do that. We both need to do what we need to do to set up the infrastructure and the streams of income, so that when it's coming in from everywhere. I could tell you right now, I can't think, me personally, It's just me. I can't think of what I can spend my money on. Like, I'm just not that type of person. Like, it's only but so many video games I can buy. It's only but so many clothes I can buy. Only so many shoes I can buy. It's just only but so much. Grand scheme of things, this is the problem that we have with six to eight people in America having more net worth than half of the world. We see that as an injustice because it's like these people, they can only wear but one outfit at a time. They can only live in one place at a time. You even see celebrities who have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different homes end up selling home. Michael Jordan is trying to sell a home in Chicago, and he's a billionaire. Why? Because even he knows he doesn't need it. It's just an expense. Do you understand? And you're sitting there trying to, as a woman, you're sitting there trying to fight over how much of the bills you're responsible for. If you are privy, whatever talent and ability that you have should be lended to the team, not you. You decided to throw away you when you decided to get in a monogamous marriage. Now, if you were in a polygynous marriage, it'd be less stress on you, right? But you don't want to be in a relationship like that because you don't want to share your man. See, women have a sharing problem. It ain't even about men. Women generally don't want to share their money. Because how much access is a man going to have to your money? You don't want to share. That's the first sign that you need to leave her hindparts alone. If she has a hard time sharing her benefits. But see, a lot of them will get married because they like the benefits of marriage. Go look up in Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, 2, and 3. And women, even then, just like now, don't like to be stigmatized. That's why that name is important to them. It's such a stigmatism for a woman to get old. This is age old. It is such a stigmatism for a woman to get old and die alone. No woman in her right mind want to die alone by themselves. Nobody to care for them. The only chance that you have, even if you set up your ducats correctly, and you are able to go to a retirement home, they don't always treat those patients good in those retirement homes. Go check. Don't believe me? Go check. And do you want a bunch of people around you that you're getting to know at that age? Or a bunch of people around you that you don't know? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. You want people that you have history with during that time. How do I know this? I just came from my family reunion, and that's what the elder people only talked about. Will you come see me? Hey, when you come to the gravesite, you have to come past my house. Please stop by. I'd love to be able to make you some, something to eat. We can sit down. Older people want company more than anything. And when you're young, you take company for granted. These are the relationships and foundational pieces that you build with people when you're early, if you do it right, so you can have it later in life. And if you're not going to build it with your spouse and your children, then who? Who are you going to build it with? You can't even build it with your spouse because you stingy with your money. You can't even do the things that you're supposed to do that you said that you would do. But you get upset when he slips doing something that he's supposed to do 100% of the time. So a man is supposed to have these crazy, unrealistic expectations. And you, as a woman, you get to have attainable expectations with plenty of excuses. Justifications galore. That's not fair. And then you got the nerve when I say that's not fair. Life isn't fair. But when we play the game with you, that life isn't fair. And unfairness bestows itself upon you. You the first one to holler. You're not sitting there being accountable like, you know what? I don't like this that's happening to me right now, but you know what? Life isn't fair. I'm going to go ahead and take it in stride. You're not saying that. You're sitting there saying, why is this happening to me? Lord, what did I do? Really? Come on, ladies, gentlemen. Relationships are supposed to be advantageous to everyone involved. If it's you, your spouse, and 3 children, everybody is supposed to benefit from that relationship. Nobody is supposed to be left out. It's supposed to be advantageous to everyone involved. But we get in these relationships where the women, well, this is the saying that this is the killer saying. And when I say killer, I mean killer. Happy wife, happy life. But you would think I'm dumb if I said happy husband, happy life. That's stupid, right? Do you know why? Because today's marriage is about the indecisive woman. The woman that can't make up her mind what she wants to eat. She shows at every level her indecisiveness. She shows every level emotional outburst. She shows at every level the unrealistic expectations she places on others that she would never want to be placed on her. And I'm sorry, ladies. We are equal in totality, but we're not equal categorically. We're not. We're not. There are things that women do better than men. That's fine. I'm not trying to compete with women. And I'm not trying to compete with my wife. My wife's not trying to compete with me. But I even had to have this conversation with my wife. What is the level of expectation? Because this is how I feel about your level of expectation for me. Can I bring you to that same level? And that helped her see how realistic and or unrealistic she was looking at things. And that gave us a ground to work from. Monogamy can only work if both partners bring it all to the table, care nothing about the credit, and concern themselves with the vision. That's the only way it can work. And I've seen it work. It's a rarity, but when it does work, it's because of those 3 things. So whether you're married today or you're not, and I said final thoughts, I'm so sorry. But whether you're married today or not, if you are married today, whether you're a man or a woman, Think about the expectations and the standards that you have for your spouse and that your spouse has for you. Talk about those things together. Get on one accord and make sure that the expectation that he has matches the expectation that she has, because you're both in it together. It's not 50-50. It's not 75-25. It's not 60-40. It is 100-100. It's you. Not this 110% stuff. You can't give 110%. You can't. You can't give something that you don't have. When people say, man, I give it 110% every day. No, you don't. Nobody has 110%. Because in order to have 110%, you have to be all of you plus some more of you by a tenth. And that's not the case. Your whole makes up 100%. If you don't have 100% that day, all the more reason. But whatever you have to give that day, that minute, that second, that moment, just give that. That's what marriage is. If you're not married and you can't see yourself giving that, then go practice it if you want to be married. But don't get married, because it's a dangerous thing to carry into a marriage. Selfishness is a dangerous thing to carry into marriage. There is no such thing. There is no such thing as I in marry. It's not. Don't be cute and say married, because really that's past tense, right? There's no such thing as I in marry. It's not. If you can't give and bring to the table everything, don't get married. Not the marriage that we accept in society. Don't go into that kind of marriage. Now, if you have a little bit of selfishness and you want to be in a plural marriage, it can work there. But even that requires you to be unselfish. It's just that not as much is expected of you, yet more results are done. It's like the old saying. What was that? I think it. I don't know who said this, but this is a saying right here. I think it was Rockefeller. I would rather the efforts of 100 people giving me 1% than one person giving me 100%. Because anybody can give 1%, but it's difficult to consistently get somebody to give 100%. And kudos to some of you men out here. You're breaking yourselves down and you're going to die early. But kudos to you that's answering the call and checking all the boxes off for that unrealistic expectation of being perfect and consistent 100% of the time. You a good one, brother. You a good one. But I'm just telling you right now, it shouldn't be that way. You should strive for 100%. You should strive to be your best. You should strive to be perfect. You should strive to be excellent. But you should not be expected to be those things. Your partner is supposed to cut you some slack. And you're supposed to cut your partner some slack. That's my time. I really hope that somebody got something from what I'm saying. Make sure that you like this video. If you would please be so kind, leave a comment. That helps me with the algorithms. Okay. Make sure that you share this video, share it on your social media platform so others get an opportunity to learn about what I'm talking about here, what I'm saying, and if you feel like it's going to be a blessing to somebody on your timeline. And last but certainly not least, make sure you subscribe to my channel, because I would love to have you here and you get notifications when I'm making new videos. All right. I love you guys. Take care.